Good afternoon. My name is Megan Larkham, and I'm a senior here at Carnegie Mellon. So I guess we gave these speeches earlier today to your other peers in different houses, and I was sitting listening to everything that you just heard, and I was saying to Everett tatted me next to me, I think I'm in trouble. I don't have any comments prepared to talk about diversity. And then he said, no, it's okay. You're going to talk about diversity of perspective. And it's true. So today I'm going to talk about diversity of decisions and taking risks. So rewind 3 years, and I was not sitting in those chairs because I had made the decision not to go to Community Collage because I was really tired during orientation. You know, I was living on the edge. But if I were in your position 3 years ago, which I wasn't, you know, because I was like Evel Knievel or something and taking a risk, I would have been like many of you. In fact, I was studying business, not because I was interested in finance or Wall Street, but because when I was younger, I was really good at selling a single Tic Tac for 25 cents to my little brothers. I thought, hey, that makes a businesswoman, right? So, you know, I'd go through college just like I did high school. I'd study business, I'd play basketball, I'd join student government. It was going to be the same, right? Well, it turns out that that first decision to skip Community Collage set the tone for the risks and the decisions that it would take throughout the next 3 years. So after you leave here today, I want you to take one thing away from me. It's that there are good types of risks to take, those that you can talk about later on and say, oh, that was cool. So it's okay, it's absolutely okay to be unsure about that box you checked on your college application because you don't want to box yourself in. And if you are sure about that box, it's not okay to stay inside. So today I'm going to share 4 risks that I took at CMU in hopes that they'll inspire you to throw away the map and follow the compass. You have the compass, basically just do everything your parents told you not to do. Skip school. Compromise your plan, don't listen, and talk to strangers. So first, compromise your plan. Don't think you don't need to know anything. This is really embarrassing, but one of the reasons I came to CMU was because there wasn't a language requirement. I was really intimidated by learning second languages. So I thought if I ever needed to travel for business or leisure, I could just speak English and everything would be fine. Well, 2 years ago, I studied at our Doha campus that Mel talked about earlier. And I was doing some traveling around the region, and I ended up in India for 9 days. And one day I found myself in the middle of this town at 5 a.m. without a wallet, a passport, any form of currency, and I couldn't speak with anyone. I ended up having to use charades to get out of the situation. But it taught me something. English isn't all there is out there. So this past summer, instead of taking a job that I had in New York at a big bank and following that typical business path, I decided to go to Northern Africa instead and to learn Arabic in Tunisia. I could have made a lot of money, had a lot of fun, but I took the hard path, and it was the most brutally hard thing I've ever done. It was like standing 2 feet away from a fire hose and trying to fill a Dixie cup with water. But because it was the toughest thing I've ever done, it was worth it. Risk number 2, don't listen. I have 5 brothers and sisters, so naturally my mom's a little nuts. And when I got to college, she expected me to play basketball because she'd paid so much money in high school for me to, you know, go play at tournaments around the country. You know what? I didn't listen. Instead, I joined the crew team and I met Tom. Yeah. I met Tom, who was my coxswain. And you know, I have the freedom to wake up every morning and run through this area of Pittsburgh called Bloomfield and row on the Allegheny River right next to where the Steelers play. If I had listened to my mom and I hadn't joined the team, I might have graduated Carnegie Mellon seeing more of the Middle East than of Pittsburgh itself. So it's best not to listen sometimes. Number 3, skip school. There are going to be opportunities that arise that you absolutely want to say yes to, but guess what? You say no because you have an excuse. You can't miss class. You don't have time. You don't have money. Well, get rid of the excuses and miss class. Not all the time, but sometimes. A month after freshman orientation, I found myself with my sweet mate, Timmy Abimbola, who's in the back, and she persuaded me to go to New York with her on an overnight bus. We just get on this bus and we go to New York City a month after orientation, and we go to this rally for Darfur in New York. And you know, we had a great time, and then the next day I get a text from a friend in class, and she's like, dude, you're on the front page of the New York Times. So we were. And 2 years later, valuing that relationship I had with Timmy and with Chanel from Student Affairs, I found myself missing school yet again, this time to go to DC for the inauguration of President Obama with less than 24 hours notice. So I called my coach, not gonna be at practice, emailed the teachers, not gonna be at school. So really, just take the risk. It's fine, it's okay to miss class sometimes if you have good reason and if you can create a good memory. Number 4, talk to a stranger. When I was in Tunisia this past summer, I was told 2 things. I was brought into this room with the State Department. This big, tall guy saying, don't take public transportation. It's very unsafe. And oh yeah, don't talk to men. Tough luck, State Department. I rode that bus every day, and I talked to guys. And I ended up having this really intense conversation with this guy named Rafael, who's from Brazil. He spoke 4 languages. And guess what? He was homeless. He was homeless by choice, though. He was a global nomad who's been traveling the world the past 2 years without any money and just using services to get by. So literally, he's just traveling around, and I'm like, well, what are you doing in Tunisia? And it turns out he was trying to go to trek the Sahara. He was going to sneak into Libya. I was like, that's crazy. But you know what? He said, boundaries are just fake borders. And that really has stuck with me this summer. And he gave me a lot of other useful insight that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life. So here he is, trekking into illegally trekking into a country to cross a very interesting desert. And I was worried about talking to a stranger. He was crazy, but I learned I was crazy not to learn from as many people as I can, even if I'm told not to. So, going forward, think of self-sustainability. Typically, we hear the word sustainability and we think of the earth. Well, I'm telling you to think of yourself. Don't think of others, think of yourself, and make sure that you are making thoughtful decisions and taking those risks that you can. Compromise your plan, don't listen, skip school, and talk to strangers. Make a legacy for yourself. Everything you need to do is within a 10-minute walk from where you're sitting right now. Unless, of course, you want to trek across the Sahara and sneak into Libya. But in that case, I recommend you go in January, bring tons of sunscreen, and if you end up in jail, say hi to Raphael. Thank you.